So, have you ever wondered if Pinot Noir that you buy for $10 or even less can be good? We're going to find out right now. Welcome back to Drinking It In. I am your host, Chris Casara. We are here to help you know more and drink better. And today we're going to talk about Mark West Pinot Noir, which you can get for $10. So, this was a viewer suggestion. Ken Hetro said, I'm surprised that you didn't include Mark West Pinot Noir in, I think it was my best Pinot Noirs under $20. He thought I should give it another try, so I am. I'm here, giving it another try. I've had this wine a couple times before. It's been several years, and I just remembered it just didn't strike a chord with me, and so I've gone and passed it over many times in the recent years. Now, Mark West, their winery is apparently devoted to perfecting one varietal, Pinot Noir, since 1978. This is a California Pinot Noir. So that means the grapes come from California. Nothing specific, just somewhere in that great state. This is a 2023, so nice and new, nice and fresh. Let's see what this brings to the table. Actually, before I'll give this a little air, but I guess the question is for me, since Pinot Noir is such a pain in the ass, right? In order to grow Pinot Noir, grow it well, it takes so much effort and you have to be in the right climate. So the question is like, should Pinot Noir be cheap, be accessible, be very reasonable to buy? And it's a real solid question, because a lot of times when Pinot Noir is $15 or under, it's just unremarkable. All right, it has Pinot Noir, it has Pinot vibes. Very nice and cherried. You can argue it's got a little bit of a Dr. Pepper vibe going, so there's a little cherry and spice in there. It's actually, the nose is pretty nice. Nothing more than that, but really, $10 for a Pinot Noir, that's exactly what I want. Let's give it a taste. A little bit of alcoholic heat in my nostrils. That's a surprise. 13.5% alcohol by volume. You know, I'm getting some cherries, kind of, they're almost like black cherries, a little plummy in nature. It's interesting. There's this metallic note or metallic feel. It's a sensation and a flavor. It's like a little bit like you licked something that's metallic. I found that in, well, I think it might have been the Robert Mondavi Cabernet Sauvignon a while back that was in that same price point. And so while the wine has a very nice nose, when it's on the palate, it's something like uncomfortable about it for me. Yeah, and it's got like a little bit of a like wasabi, almost like a hot mustard vibe. It goes immediately up your nose. And I find that with some of the more reasonable wines, like it's a texture thing in that somehow they smell kind of nice. There's something on the palate, but there's always something that makes it very uncomfortable to drink. I'm going to pour a second sip here, just in case. Sometimes that first glass out of a bottle can maybe have, I don't know, have a little sensation that will blow off if you have a second glass, or if it just gets a little more oxygen. So maybe that's just because I cracked it open. I'm guessing it's not, but we're gonna see. We're gonna see. The nose got a little more muted, oddly enough. Normally a wine gets some oxygen and it opens up. In this case, this wine got a little oxygen and it sort of went like, sort of shut down. Now it just kind of has like kind of like a red wine smell. Yep. Right up the nose. Yeah, this wine it's bitter, it's metallic. There are some cherries on the palate. The aromas on that first glass or that first sip were nice, right? Cherries and spice. But overall, this wine it ends up being very bitter. There's a bitter experience here. And, I've tried it again. It's not for me. I would rate this an 81 points. I wouldn't buy it again. It's $10. It's an easy entry point. I think if you're trying to start out in wine and you want a Pinot Noir, I try to get like, I think it's Elawan from Oregon, which is only in the high teens. And it's going to be just a much better experience. And that wine will draw you in and make you want to explore more. Whereas this wine doesn't draw me in, and it makes me not want to drink wine again. That might be a bit harsh, but that's kind of where we're going, right? If somebody's new to wine and they have a good experience, I think they naturally want to try more and branch out and whatnot. But if somebody is new to wine and they have a bad experience, they're kind of going to be like, well, I just don't like wine. It was sort of way back when I used to travel to the UK a lot. And before we went back to the room, it was almost like mandatory. We had to have a scotch. And at the time, I didn't really have a lot of experience in scotch. And I said to my colleague who was going up to the bar to grab the drinks, I'm like, well, I love, big, nice smoky bourbons and whatnot. So just give me something that's smoky. And he came back with a Lagavulin. I don't remember the year. It was 12, 15, whatever it was. And if you know anything about scotch, Lagavulin is it's literally like you're eating an ashtray. And I've never eaten an ashtray in my life, but in my head, that's the vision I had. And I smelled it, I took a sip, and I was just like, I guess I don't like scotch. So for a while, I didn't even explore. But naturally, or not naturally, eventually I came around to scotch and I realized, okay, those peaty versions are not what I like. I like the Speyside versions that are more floral and light. I think when we introduce people to wine, in the end, we want them to have a positive experience so that they will continue and not sort of write it off and go back to maybe what they've been drinking all the time. I did try it again, Ken. It's not for me. And hopefully you guys got some value out of this episode, and I'll see you again soon. Cheers. That didn't end well.